All right, I'm now joined by a very special guest, St. Louis Cardinals center fielder Michael Siani. Michael, it's great to see you. First, I'll start with how are you doing? I know you're on the injured list right now. First, how's everything going?
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. Good to be here. Appreciate you. And yeah, I'm good. I got like a little oblique strain going. So happened like a week ago, more or less. And hopefully, I got a few more weeks until I'm back. So it's not too bad. Rehab's going well. So I'm here in St. Louis, getting that done and just going through that kind of process and making sure I'm ready to go. But it shouldn't be too bad. I should be back pretty soon.
Love to hear it, man. Yeah, rooting for you. Get back on the field soon. I know we just talked about it, but I wanted it to have just like I wanted to say thank you to our mutual friend Brian O'Grady who set this kind of thing up. I know I just asked this question, but like, can you tell me like how you first met, the Philly connection, the Reds, like
Yeah,
how did
yeah.
take it back with BOG?
Yeah, so all those things basically, right? So he's a Philly area guy, so we go back through that, and he's a few years older than me, but I kind of knew him from that, and knew him from playing obviously college at Rutgers, and then when I got drafted, he was with Cincy, so he was already maybe in AAA when I got drafted or AA at least, and then kind of made his way through up to the big leagues with the Reds. So we kind of connected through that and would hang out in spring training and see each other. And then he'd go do his thing, and then he ended up with San Diego and then a few other teams, and I was kind of making my way through the minor leagues at that point. So we stayed connected through that, and there's not a ton of Philly baseball players in pro ball. There's a good group of guys, but we most of the time try to stick together. So uh, he's a cool dude, and he's I talked to him about baseball a ton, and especially when I was younger in the minor leagues, and was still trying to figure stuff out. So he was there, no doubt.
That's awesome, man. So I was
Yeah,
going to ask about the Philly connection. Just like, so you said there's not a ton of guys from the Philly area in pro ball. Have you like, is that something that if you see a guy on another team, you'll go up and say, what's up? Like, do you kind of have like the little circle of guys from that area?
yeah, yeah, for sure. And I mean, most of us know each other just from like, especially if we're like around the same age. Just from kind of high school baseball because usually will end up playing against those guys in high school, and it's a pretty good group of high school like competition wise in the city and even outside the city. So we would always end up seeing each other anyway and playing against each other in high school. And I know kids that are his age and that still that play pro ball too. So yeah, it's a good group of guys. And obviously Philly's a pretty big city, but it's not like Florida, Texas, Georgia, California with in terms of baseball, like powerhouse. So everybody knows everybody for the most part. So yeah, it's a good kind of thing they got going up there. And high school was really competitive, and got to play in a lot of exciting games in high school. So it kind of helped me, get looked at in pro ball and get scouted, and you know, big reason why I got drafted.
Do you think growing up in Philly kind of helped shape the kind of player you are today? Brian's talked about this where like he said growing up in Philly, he just kind of had this like, yeah, I think he said he was like kind of pissed off attitude, just like a little playing with a little grit, a little toughness. Like, do you think that is like a product of the Philly area and growing up there?
I think yeah, that's part of it. I think you grow up with a chip on your shoulder, and you got to have your own kind of thing going on. You got to have your own confidence and what you can do and how you can compete with guys. I mean, in pro ball, not just from the rest of the country, but all over the world, right? So, um, yeah, you got to be able to just have your own confidence, have your own mindset. And growing up in a city like that, you kind of develop it on your own, and yeah, I mean, it's a tough city, and you go in and get your work done, and represent where you're from. And it's a big deal. So I know a lot of guys take pride in that from where I'm from, including me. So it's a good place, and you get a lot of athletes from Philadelphia, not just baseball. So um, it's a good place.
Did you go to Did you go to the same high school that Matt Ryan did, or was that
Yes.
okay? There's a
Yeah.
couple guys. It's like McGlinchey, Matt Ryan. Like, there's a
Yeah.
lot of like pro athlete guys in there.
Yeah. We got a few pro athletes. We got a couple. I think I'm the third big league player. We have so Mark Gubazza is he's the color commentator for the Angels now, but he pitched for the Royals and for a long time won a World Series. So I know him well. Um, and then Ruben Amaro with the Phillies, who's in the big leagues too. So those are the two guys that I know of. And then we have a few football players. So yeah, sports are pretty big at my high school at Penn Charter. So my brother's playing too. We got a few more guys in pro ball from the baseball team that I was on. So yeah, it's a good place.
Did you ever like growing up? Were you rooting for Matt Ryan? Or I'm assuming you're an Eagles guy, but like, did the Penn
Yeah.
Charter did that impact the rooting interest back then?
Well, as long as he wasn't playing the Eagles, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. There were a few times like we would always follow him, and I don't really know him, but obviously he went to the same high school, so there were a few times where I'd find myself rooting for him, find myself pulling for the Falcons, but there was also times when they came up to Philly for a playoff game and played against the Eagles, and there was only one team I was rooting for that. So it happens quick.
Love that.
Yeah,
You mentioned your brother, Sammy, first round pick by the Pirates.
yeah,
As the older brother, like what role have you kind of played as you both kind of go through your pro ball journeys?
yeah. I think honestly, like we talk a lot and we keep in touch a lot, but I try to let him like baseball wise do his thing and not try to talk about it too much. Obviously, um, I'm there and I talk to him about little things that I'm going through, even or that he wants to talk about. But we're talking about a lot of other stuff, honestly, just like normal stuff that brothers will talk about, or whatever we want to do this off season, or how he's doing, in season with his golf game, or how his buddies are doing during the season. So I think that my job's just kind of just to be there for him, and I think he feels the same way. I think he's there for me, but um, we try to just keep it chill, keep it cool, and not try to do too much. And there's always sometimes when he'll text me, and or I'm playing against the guy that he knows, and just tell him to say what's up or whatever it is. But we try to keep it pretty light. So um, throughout the season, I mean, it's 162 games. He's playing 100 and whatever it is, 40 some games. So there's a lot of baseball going on, a lot of baseball every day. So sometimes you need to kind of just like switch it off a little bit and call your brother and just talk some shit, say what's up.
Is it cool to have that like kind of like sounding board for both of you guys to have similar experiences? Him obviously still being the minors, but you haven't gone
Yeah.
through that already. Is that cool to have an outlet for that?
Yeah, I think so. I think it really helped him, through the draft process too, because it's something that nobody in my family had done before. So I was kind of the first one to go through it, and then a year later he did the same thing. So I think it helped him out with seeing me and seeing how I kind of did it, how I handled meetings with pro scouts, how I handled meetings with agents, all that stuff. So um, he was in a good spot with it, and I think it was a lot easier, especially for my parents, because they're stressing out for sure. So they it was a lot easier with him and handling that, and then he was able to get going, and obviously drafted by the Pirates, so he was able to get down to Florida and start his minor league career the year after me, and yeah, I think it kind of just it just makes it easier, and hearing from me how my first year of pro ball went, how my daily routine is, what I do every day to get myself ready. Kind of making sure he knew, how it works and what goes on, because it's a lot different than high school baseball. I can tell you that. So yeah, it was helpful, and it was cool, that we both got to go through that in back to back years.
Is it hard because both of you guys were drafted out of high school, and so you started in pro ball at such a young age, where you're thrown into these leagues where guys who are probably a little bit older coming out of college? Is it hard being the younger guy trying to get acclimated to some of this stuff? Because I imagine it's pretty serious, life altering stuff you're having to deal with as an 18, 19-year-old.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was too hard. I think, when you make that decision, when you decide like, hey, I'm gonna sign and I'm gonna go play pro ball, I'm not gonna go to college, right? You know what you're what you're going to get. You know, it's your everyday job. You know how that schedule is, and what it's going to be every day from what February until September. So, and then even in the off season, you're getting ready to go. So I think that obviously, like right away, it's a little bit of a change because you're doing something you've never done before, right? You're it's all baseball all the time every day. So I think that was a big change. But I had a good group of guys that I got drafted with, that I played with in the beginning of my pro career, and even throughout the minor leagues, that that helped, and that makes a big difference. I think having a group of guys that you want to hang out with in the clubhouse, and you want to you want to spend your day with, not even on the field, but you can go grabbing breakfast or go grabbing lunch or dinner after a game, whatever it is. I think that makes a difference too, and I think that helps you kind of bring it back to like the reality of things, and not just like you're not just doing baseball all day every day. You're living your life, and you're enjoying it too.
What was your support system like back then, and even still now? Because you're not that far removed from being a draft pick out of high school. Like,
Yeah.
did you and your family kind of like close ranks and like say, all right, we're gonna get through this as like a unit type deal?
Um, yes and no. I think that my parents are always there, and they're always supporting me every single day. And I mean, I can call them 24 hours a day if I want to, and just talk. But again, they let me do my thing too. So I think that part of being in pro ball, and you know part of that job is being independent, and sort of figuring stuff out for yourself, and figuring out what you need to do every day. But you also always have your family there, and my brothers, and my girlfriend, whoever it is that I want to reach out to and talk to. They're there. But I was always pretty independent as a kid, and always kind of did my own thing. So it was honestly a pretty easy transition for me to go to pro ball, and you know be kind of living on my own. Or sometimes in the minor leagues you have your roommates and stuff like that, but you're kind of on your own. You're not real close to home for the most part, so you kind of just got to do your own thing. And I always enjoyed it. I didn't mind it. It's not for everybody. I would say that, but yeah, I think that it's huge to have a support system. It's huge to have people there that you can talk to, and that that are always going to be there. So I think that it's a little bit of a mix, and you want to have a healthy amount of doing your own thing, but also, hey mom, you want to come out, hang out, and visit, and whatever. You know what I mean?
This game's hard, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
the mental grind is a big topic of
Yeah.
conversation. We've talked to a lot of guys about. I actually had a question about that. It's the morning baseball question. Promo code BATS10 for 10% off your first order. How do you approach the mental side of the game? Are there things that you've learned along your baseball journey that have helped you? Is there like been a piece of advice that you've been find that's like helped you a lot?
Um. Yeah, I think that I would say I've learned a bunch of things for sure, but there's been a few pieces of advice that have stuck with me, just like simple things, like not taking a day for granted, honestly, and just making sure that you're doing everything you can every day to prepare yourself, because you never know what's going to happen, right? It's this game moves fast, this game happens quick, so you just got to be able to put your best foot forward every day. And mentally, that can be tough sometimes because, like I said, it's 162 games, and you're grinding every day, and you get to late July, you get to August, you're like, geez, man, this is the real deal. This is getting tough. So I think that having that mentality of again, taking it every day, one day at a time, and honestly, one at bat at a time, one pitch at a time, right, for me. So I think just simplifying it to that, and trying to win the little battles of the day, and not just kind of think big picture every day, because when you do that, I think it gets to be too much sometimes, and you're starting to think about a million different things, and then you're not really focusing on like the task at hand, right? You're facing a real good arm, and you got a guy on second base. You got to try to get him to third. You got to try to hit him in, and you're thinking about, oh man, like I don't have a hit today. I don't know. There's so many different things that can go through your head. Or oh man, like am I going to make a play in the outfield this next inning? What am I going to do when so and so's up? Or how am I going to adjust to that? So I think just trying to trying to slow your game down, and that's probably some of the best, some of the best advice too I've gotten. When I was with Cincinnati, we would be with we would go, through spring training with Barry Larkin and Eric Davis every day. And those were some of the good advice that they gave, is just like, dude, just slow the game down as best you can. It's going to be tough, but try to slow everything down, slow everything down, and play to your own pace. Obviously that can change sometimes, and sometimes it's not always going to work like that, but just trying to be your own player, and slow the game down as best you can is more good advice. Especially at the big league level, man, it's quick, right? Everything happens quick, and before you know it, you're up with two guys on in scoring position with two outs, and if you're not like mentally ready for that at bat and mentally prepared to be put in that situation, and visualize succeeding, it's going to happen quick, and it's going to be tough.
That's such great advice. Have you like, how do you deal with, do you take the game home? Like if you have a tough stretch, are you bringing that home back to the apartment, or how do you kind of unplug from the stuff that happens at the field?
No, I try not to. I try my best not to. Obviously, you're going to be thinking about the game when you get home, but I try to kind of just, get something else on my mind, whether I'm going to call a friend, or, get on the game and play some video games, or, whatever it is. I think that obviously, it's a stressful game, and it's a game of failure. So you're not going to succeed all the time, and you're going to be put into tough situations and probably fail. Right. So, I think initially, right after that, right after the game, or right after the whatever happens, you can reflect on that. You can react to it, and just think about why that went wrong, or why that went right, and what I did right and what I did wrong. So I think, like, initially, I think that's something that I try to reflect about, or try to think about. But once I'm off the field, or walking out of the locker room, once I put the street clothes on, it's like, all right, this game's over. I can get back at it tomorrow, and go in the video room tomorrow and look at some of the stuff, or talk to some of my coaches and see where I'm at. Or even if it was a really good thing, right? You enjoy it, and you enjoy it with your teammates after the game, and celebrate it. But once the street clothes come on, and once you're ready to leave, you got another game tomorrow. So you got to reset, and you got to have a plan for what you got against whoever it is.
I like that, man. That's a very healthy approach. I feel like you mentioned something earlier about just like the month of August. And I feel like, the dog days of summer, we're getting to that point in the year where it's hot as hell. Everybody's probably dealing with some sort of nagging injury.
Yeah.
Can you describe what the dog days are like, and what that's like as a player trying to come to the yard every day?
Yeah, I think I talked a little bit about it earlier, but I think it's about slowing it down, and not trying to, you're not just trying to get through the day. You're trying to, like, appreciate the day, and do your best to be successful during that day. And the more you think about, man, I just got to get to tomorrow, the less you're going to focus on what you got going on during today, and the worse results you might have. So, I think, like I said, just slowing it down. And for me, it's tough. Right now I'm not playing. I'm on the IL, so I'm watching a lot of baseball. But you again try to appreciate every day, and try to get your work in as much rehab as I'm doing right now. So, you don't try to take anything for granted, and you try to make sure that you're doing everything you can every day to put yourself in the best position. And I think that in and itself will keep you busy, and speed things up, as those dog days get longer in August, and in July, even last month. So, yeah, I think that it's just about making sure you have what you need every single day to be successful, and not trying to have any shortcuts in that way.
I was watching a ton of your highlights before this, and it's just like you're making these awesome diving catches. You're playing balls to the wall, hair on fire, whatever you want to call it. Like, is there a price that you've paid for that kind of playing style? Like, I know you're still obviously a young guy. I think you're still 25, but like, or do you feel it like not as much, or are you starting to feel it more, that kind of playing style every day?
Um, Honestly, not too bad. Knock on wood, I've been pretty healthy in my pro ball career, and I've always kind of played that way and always done that. So you obviously get a little sore in the ribs or the shoulder from diving around the outfield and trying to make a play. So that'll happen. But no, I think that I take a lot of pride in how I prepare myself every day and how I get ready every day. So I feel like my body's in a pretty good spot to be able to do those things during the game and to be able to dive around or try to rob a home run or jump into the wall or steal a couple bags, right? So I feel like um, it's part of my it's a big part of my job to be able to put my body in that position to help the team win and then make plays and make a difference in the game. So um, the more I can do that, the more I can make those plays and you know get a big hit late in the game or steal a bag late in the game, score a big run. The more the team has a chance to win. So if I got to take a little longer to prepare myself in the day or see the trainer a little longer in the training room or hop in the hot tub a little bit longer, then so be it. That's fine. But I think that when you do start taking those shortcuts, when you do start, I don't need to get this done today. I'm good. I feel all right. Like that's when you can start running into like, ah man, I don't feel great, or this dive could really mess me up, or this jump into the wall could really be tough. So and obviously it's baseball and injuries are going to happen and stuff's going to happen that you really can't control. So uh, that's part of it for sure. But doing everything you can to make sure you're in a good spot is a big part of it.
Your defense is incredible. I could watch the highlight reel catches you make all day. That's so cool. So I saw a stat, you're fourth in fielding run value. Are you aware of just like the sheer like upper echelon of baseball guys you find yourself in with your fielding stats? Like, are you aware of how good your defense is?
Yeah, I've been shown a few stats, and I don't really look like some of the stats. I don't even know how they get these numbers and how they put these together. So I don't really try to look at that too much. But like I know there's a bunch of different measurements of fielding or whatever they're the defensive runs, whatever outs above that. There's a bunch of different ones
Yeah.
that I've heard about or talked about. So um, it's cool to be kind of towards the top of those lists, and you look at the guys that are up there with you, and they're guys that can really go get it. So um, yeah, it's cool to be there, and it's cool to kind of be competing in that like you said, like upper echelon of defensive metrics, defensive categories, and it's something that like our media has kind of talked to me about or just mentioned to me, and it's cool. It's good
Yeah.
stuff, and honestly, like anything I can do, especially the ones that make me happy the most, and the ones that help the team the most, are the late game catches that I can make to save some runs and really like make an impact on how the game goes, the final score. So I think that those are the best ones. I don't know how much fielding run value I get from those ones, but those are the ones that feel the best. That I don't even sometimes don't even have to dive for them, but you make a good play at the end of the game or make a good play to save a couple runs, like those matter a lot. So anything I can do.
Yeah, I honestly I don't understand how they calculate some of these things either, but it's got to be cool seeing like on Baseball Savant where your stuff's all like dark red. So like that's got to be mentally
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
But
yeah.
is outfield defense like is that something that comes naturally or is that something you can get better at? I've always been so curious. Like you just see some guys like Kevin Kiermaier. Like
Yeah.
I don't understand how like is it just like the work you put in? Is it like naturally quick and like how does that kind of work?
Yeah, I think honestly, he was one of the guys I watched a ton when I was younger. Um, just like him as a young player making plays, and when he was with Tampa, when he was just like all over the field making plays. That was a cool person to watch and a cool person to see. But I think that honestly, it's a little bit of both. Obviously, naturally you're going to be athletic and talented out there, but I think that putting in the work every day and making sure that you're in the right position to be making these plays is good. And I try to make sure I'm out during batting practice every day that we have it. getting breaks on a ball, not necessarily running all over the field and time. I talked about this before, making sure my first like 4 or 5 steps, are really good and dialed in. I know I have speed. I know I can kind of run down a ball, but like just making sure my direction's right and my footwork's good. Those little things those are the things that like you can gain an extra step or two and it helps you like make a play. So I think that we have a great group of coaches over here in St. Louis, and I get to work with Willie McGee every day, who's our outfield coach over here. And that's one of the things he talks about, just making sure you're getting your body in the right position and then using your athleticism and then going after it and making the play. But, your first, like I said, your first 3, 4, 5 steps in the outfield are probably your most important ones because, your direction's got to be right, your break's got to be right, and, reacting to the ball obviously is one of the most important things. So I think that just taking pride in that work every day and taking pride in doing the little things are a big part of it. Yeah.
And your pitching staff loves you. I've seen the post games, like Miles Michaelis is just like he's hyping you up, just like thanking you so much for all the catches. Do you have a favorite catch that you've made?
I was at it might have been a month ago. I don't know. I've seen some of the replays of the dives of the dive catches and stuff, and those are cool. I remember like I think my favorite one was we were playing Chicago on Sunday night at home. It was earlier in the season, and Hells was pitching, so we were up. I think we were up one. Might have been like first and third, 2 outs in the ninth. We were up one, and Suzuki was up, and so I have the pitch com in my hat, so I know what pitches are coming from our guys. And it was a fastball. I'm pretty sure it was a fastball supposed to be away. And I was playing him over in the gap a little bit oppo, and I got a really good jump on it and was able to like track it down on the warning track to end the game in the ninth with 1-by-1. So that was probably my favorite one. And I didn't necessarily have to dive for it or anything or jump into the wall or nothing, but it was like a really like just in my memory, it was a really good like break on it at like really good route and I ended up making the play like pretty easily. But like those are the ones like I said, like, if that gets down, 2 runs are probably scoring with 2 outs. They take the lead in the ninth and we got to score in the bottom 9. So those are the ones that stick with me. Like, yeah, I got a really good jump on that. Like, I made that play and it ended up being like a pretty easy play. But those are the ones that like, yeah, I worked on that in BP today. I took my first 5 steps that way, that direction, that angle, and it was right. So those are the ones that like make it worth it.
Dude, that's so sick. So wait, you said you wear a pitch comp. How many position players wear that? And have you found it to be like a big advantage knowing like off speed fastball?
Yeah. So usually we have our 3 guys wear it, our 3 middle guys. I think you can only have 3. So our 3 middle guys wear it. And I think for, especially for guys that have a big like difference in speeds. So like when Hells is pitching, like he's throwing 102 and then, he'll flip in a slider or a curveball and it'll be like 85, slider like 90. So you see like a big difference in speed like that helps me a lot with because like I know as a hitter like I'm probably doing something different with a 85-mile-an-hour curveball than I am with a 102-mile-an-hour fastball, right? So it's less important to me on guys that are like cutter, sinker, fastball, like that are all around the same speed for the most part. Because at that point it's just like, all right, like where's the pitch going to be? Like where's he going to throw it, right? So, but it does help for sure for me, like especially late in games when you got guys out of the pen that are throwing gas. It makes a difference and it can help me like with my breaks or help me kind of anticipate a little bit, not cheat it and not like break early, but just kind of anticipate where the ball is going to be and where the pitch is going to be located. So yeah, little stuff like that, it makes a difference.
That's fat. I don't think I've ever heard anybody talk about that before. That's so cool. Do you know which of your catches is like the toughest according to like the nerdy baseball savant analytic type stuff?
I'm assuming one of the diving ones, but I don't know.
Okay, it was June 22nd. It was Tyro Estrada in St. Louis. It had a 10% catch probability. Does that ring any bells?
San Fran. Yeah,
Yeah.
I hurt my ribs on that play. That makes sense. Yeah,
Just from like the impact with the ground?
I had to come out of that game right after that. Yeah,
Ooh.
yeah.
Was that were you feeling it?
I only missed that game. I was back. I just bruised my ribs a little bit.
Okay.
But that was yeah. Miles was pitching. Yeah, I remember.
10%.
Yeah,
like that's
10%
insane.
good.
In St. Louis, this is just like a broad like playing with Goldie and Arenado. Like what's that like? That's gotta be the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, we have. I mean, for me, it's I, like as a kid, you watch those guys, playing as I was coming through, high school ball and even younger than that. Like those are the guys that are like, damn, like one day, like you know, these guys are like superheroes to me, right? They're hitting 30, 40 homers a year, driving in a bunch of runs, playing sick defense. Um, and then you quickly realize like full circle, like man, I'm on the field with these. I'm hitting two batters behind these guys. Like this is crazy. I mean, we also have guys like like Brandon Crawford. He's won 2 World Series. He's one of the best shortstops of our generation. And you have him kind of here too doing his thing. You have Carp. Like we got a lot of guys on this team that have done it for a long time and been successful for a long time. So it's so easy to take it for granted, but it's also like I was talking to Carl about this the other day. Like it's easy to take it for granted that you're playing with these guys and that you go out on the field and do it every day, but you got to appreciate that, to a certain extent. Like, you know, these guys are here to help and help this team win. And whatever questions or whatever things you got on your mind, like those are the guys to ask. Like those are the guys to ask. Those are the guys that know what's going on, that have been through pretty much everything you can imagine. And obviously baseball is a crazy game and you see stuff every day that you've never seen before, but those guys have done it for a long time and been successful, like I said. So it's cool. It's sometimes I take it for granted, don't even really realize like, hey man, this is something that I couldn't have dreamed of as a kid. But you got to appreciate it, and you got Goldie's 2000 hit this year. He just had that a couple weeks ago, and you get to see things like that. And I was around last year when Wayno, right after Wayno got his 200th win in the big leagues, which is crazy. Like you see things like that on the baseball field, and you got to really appreciate and understand how sick and how long that takes and how much work that takes. And I see it every day with how Goldie, Nato, Crawl, Carp, all those guys go through their routine every day and make sure they're ready to play. And that helps me with my stuff too. Like that's stuff that I can talk to, younger guys that I know or that I work with, that I, do stuff with. Even my brother, like I've seen these guys do their thing. I've seen, how Nato does his routine every day. I've seen what Goldie does every day in the cage. I've seen how Carp gets ready to pinch hit every day, if they need him to. And there's just so many things that you don't even realize go on in a day. Getting ready for a game, and you learn to appreciate them as time goes on.
I can only imagine what it's like being like a fly on the wall or just like being in
Yeah,
the locker room with guys. I can't even imagine how many years of experience combined the Cardinals guys have. I feel like
a
it's just
lot.
so many awesome veterans. I
Yeah,
always hear about just like, younger guys going to the veteran guys for like advice and, kind of being a sounding board. I'm wondering if it ever works the other way where like, do the older veteran guys come to the younger guys for stuff? Is it like pop culture? Are you teaching them what TikTok is?
yeah,
Does it ever go the other way?
yeah. I think it does. I think that honestly, like there are times when it's like it's usually about technology and like the new kind of, not even just like general technology, but like the new kind of ways of baseball and how that kind of stuff works. Like honestly, like Mason, I talk to Mason about it all the time, to where like he's really good at understanding kind of pitch, like numbers, pitch like numbers and kind of movement, numbers on certain pitches that guys are throwing. And he used to pitch, so he got drafted as a two-way, and he like understands how those numbers work and how to understand like how pitches are going to move and who, this guy's got so and so on his fastball and so, vertical break or attack angle or whatever it is. There's so many different ones, and he's really good at explaining that and understanding, how that works. And I mean, me along with a lot of the older guys, a lot of the veteran guys will talk to him about that, or in a hitters meeting we'll talk about it, and little things like that. So we have, that's where it can be the other way around, where it wasn't always like that in the big leagues. It wasn't always so aware and about that kind of stuff. But it's pitchers are nasty now, so you got to be able to understand like how they're going to attack you and what it's going to look like, and that's part of understanding it.
I like that. Yeah, you're right. There's so many things in baseball now with numbers and analytics, and yeah,
Yeah,
that's good. You have like an interpreter for that kind of stuff.
yeah, he's pretty good
Um,
at it. He knows what he's talking about.
there's also a lot of money that these Cardinals guys have made over their careers. I'm wondering what team dinners are like. Like who's kind of grabbing the check? What's the dynamic when the Cards all get together for a team outing?
Yeah, so we usually we'll get them going on like on road trips. So we'll get to a new city, or we got a flight, and we got time for a dinner, and we'll all put it in the group chat. We'll go out. We got a lot of guys that have been around for a long time, so they take turns on taking care of us and making sure we get some good food and are set up pretty well. So we've had a few good ones this year, and whenever we're in a new city and we got time to go eat, a group of us will go out, or we'll do a team dinner. But they take care of us, and yeah, they make sure we eat some good food and enjoy that part of the big leagues, right? You gotta enjoy what you're doing every day. So getting some big league meals and getting some big league dinners is fun, especially with these guys that have done it for a long time and can enjoy it with us.
I always just think it'd be funny if they pranked one of the younger guys who doesn't really have that much kind of capital. Just like I really think it'd
Yeah,
be funny if
that
they slapped the bill on
that hasn't happened yet, as far as I'm aware. But
him.
I'm sure that they're keeping that in the back pocket for a good time, and before you know it, they'll be slapping a bill right in front of you after you're finishing your chocolate cake for dessert, and you're thinking you're at the peak of life, and they'll throw that down in front of you. But nah, they take good care of us, and there's a lot of great guys and leaders on this team. So we always keep it pretty light, have a good time, and make sure we enjoy it.
I love that, man. All right, I just have a couple last ones for you. I've seen most of your at bats have come in the 9 spot in the order.
Mm-hmm.
And this is another thing that we've talked about. I'm buddies with Ian Miller, Philly guy, played in the majors for a little bit. He has this thing like the 9-hole mindset where like he played in that position with like a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. What is your kind of mindset approach to being a 9-hole guy? I always hear second leadoff, but like how do you kind of
Yeah,
approach 9-hole?
yeah, I think that's a good description of it, and I think that kind of knowing who's hitting around you is good too. Like when I'm hitting ninth, it's usually Mason right behind me that's going to lead off. So I know I got somebody with speed behind me, and I know I can kind of find my way to get on base, and we can make things happen. Whatever it is. So we have a good understanding of each other and how we kind of do it, every day. And I think that again, just making sure, and as the years gone on, and as I've gotten more bats, I've been more comfortable with it. Just grinding out at bats and taking your chances when you can take your chances, and knowing who you're facing and knowing the situation of the game. And bunting's a big part of my game, so if that's an option, lay one down and try to make something happen. We've done a couple safety squeezes this year, so that's always something that you can do. Have in your back pocket. So I think that hitting in the 9-hole and being in the role that I'm in is great, but also like it's almost like a more or less like a Swiss Army knife, to where I can kind of play the game in a bunch of different ways and offer a bunch of different things to the table, whether it's it's a hit and run or a bunt, or maybe hitting a double or going deep or drawing a walk. So there's so many different ways, to get on base. So I think my job, especially in the 9 hole, is to make sure I can get to first base and set things up for the top of our lineup because we got some guys that can swing the bat, coming right behind me. So the more I can get on and the more runs I can provide, it's better. And those guys at the top of the lineup, love seeing me on second or third base. I know. I talk to Burley about it all the time. I'm like, man, Burley, you owe me some dinners at the end of the year too. Like I'm always on second or third for you, and you're driving me in. So it works both ways. And those guys, they're always ready to go for those situations, and there's a reason why they're at the top of the lineup and producing runs. So the more I can be in those situations and the more I can be in scoring position for them, better, and the more runs we're going to score.
Love that, dude. So I saw a video on Twitter. I had a question about just like, do you interact with like the fans that sit in the bleachers in the outfield? Because you're spending a lot of time out there during the game. I think it was like in Wrigley, you kind of were like going back and forth or like having some fun with some of the guys out there in the bleachers. Like, how do you kind of interact with the fans in the outfield?
Yeah, Wrigley. So I mean, Cubs Cardinals, big rivalry, obviously, big rivalry, obviously. So you definitely interact with those people out there, and I love to talk shit. So the more I can kind of look out there and go back and forth with those guys, and the bleacher creatures are real. They'll let you have it, but I love that about it. I love that part of baseball, and I love that those fans are passionate about what they got going on, and I'm the same way on the field. So it's not going to change how I play, and it's not going to change what I say back. So it's all in fun, and it's all in good fun. But yeah, you definitely get into some. My move is just giving them the I can't hear you. So as much stuff that
So
they're gonna
good.
say my way, you just tell them you can't hear them, and they keep coming, and they keep letting you have it. But I love it. I love it when it's loud. I love it when it's when they're going crazy, and you get that at Wrigley, you get that at Philly. So I think that the more that happens, the more that the more energy you get from the crowd. I think that the better you're going to play and the more intense it's going to be, and that's kind of the way I like playing.
There's a San Francisco Giants fan on TikTok who just like chirps. Yeah, it's very funny. Have you like heard or any like funny things that fans have said to you in the outfield? Have any of those stuck with you?
I don't know. Some of the stuff I can't repeat for sure, but there's usually you get just the typical you suck, or the yells and screams, and you know whatever it is. Go back to the minor leagues. What all the stuff that you've heard before, but I don't think there's really anything like specific that I can say on here that I can repeat that I've heard. But there's been some good ones. There's been some times when I look back and I'm like, all right, like I'll give him a thumbs up. I was like, that was pretty good. Like, that's good stuff. Keep it coming. But I think the fans appreciate that too. Like I'll be honest. I'll be like, all right, you got me pretty good. That's a good one. And then they get a laugh, I get a laugh. We move on. So I think that it's part of the game.
That's all we're looking for as fans is just like acknowledgement, even if it's
Yeah.
just like a nod or a thumbs up. Yeah, it's
Yeah, you'll
just
get
like
some acknowledgement from me for sure. If I hear you and hear what you're saying, as long as it's good, I'll give you something.
yeah, exactly. It's a two-way street. Cause I feel like every
Yeah,
time as a fan, you're just looking at these guys on the field as if they're like performers and you're not allowed to like
yeah,
interact with them. Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
The best part
I
about it is though, I'll when I get a play near the wall, and I catch a ball like drifting back to the wall, and it's my time to get something back right out, and when I'm over there towards the fence. So it goes both ways, like you said. So I get my time to get stuff in, and they'll have plenty of time to do their thing too.
I'm gonna watch that. Yeah, when you're back playing for the Cards, yeah, I'm gonna see the outfield interaction, see if anything pops
Yeah,
up.
it's there.
Um, I saw you caught Randy Orton's first pitch recently,
Yeah, yeah. The
um,
other day,
which was sick. Have you
so
met
sick.
any other cool people from being in baseball?
Um, yes. So, well, a lot of former players for sure. So we did the coolest one for me. So I mean, I'm a Philly kid, and I grew up kind of in that area and in that sports town and watching. So when I was when I was, gosh, I would have been like 8 or 9 years old when they won the World Series in '08. So that was like, Ryan Howard, Jimmy Rollins, Chase Utley, Cole Hamels, like all those guys. I mean, the sick team, right? So we got to play. We were played against San Fran in the game in Birmingham this year at Rickwood Field. Um, so I got to meet Jimmy Rollins when we were taking BP and he was out there. So I saw him and I was like, dude, he was my favorite player growing up. Like he was my guy. Like that was like one of the biggest reasons I watched baseball when I was a kid was watching the Phillies, watching him play shortstop. And I mean, a bunch of guys on that team were unbelievable. But so I see him walking around and because he was doing, I guess, some type of he was doing some analyst or he was covering the game in some way. He was there for it too. So I was like talking to our hitting coach. I was like, yeah, that's Jimmy Rollins. Like I gotta go say what's up to him. There's not many times when I'm like starstruck and like, damn, this is cool, but that was one of them. So I like made my way over there. I was like, hey, like, listen, I gotta introduce myself. Like, you were my favorite player growing up ever. I told him, like, obviously about the Philly connection and stuff like that, and I grew up watching them, and how I made my way here and stuff like that. So I got to talk to him for a while. Um, that was pretty cool. Got to spend some time with him, and then I the first thing I did was like text my parents like, hey, you'll never guess who I just talked to for like 15, 20 minutes outside during batting practice, and then that was pretty cool. That's where you're like, yeah, the people you can meet during this whole thing and during this game, and when you're going through this big league process, is you run into people that you're like, yeah, this is pretty cool.
That's so cool. Did
Yeah,
so he went back and forth with you for a little bit, talked a lot about Phillies baseball?
yeah. We talked about the Phillies. We talked about kind of him coming up through the minor leagues. Talked about kind of my process and how I came through, and then just how I was doing with the Cardinals and how I was enjoying it, and getting to play with, like we were talking about earlier, guys like Nato, Goldie, Crow and Carp that have been doing it for a long time, and how I enjoyed that and how I appreciated that, and then just talking about other stuff too, just like the normal stuff. But it took me a minute or two to like settle in, and I was definitely a little bit excited.
Yeah, no doubt, dude. All right, I just have one last question. So this is something I saw while I was watching the Nats the other night. CJ Abrams hit a pitch that was like 5 feet up in the air for
Yeah,
a home run. I don't know how he did that.
I saw that. I did see that.
For how hard is that? And what is the approach like to try to get on top of something that's 4.5 feet up in the air?
Yeah, I don't know if I have the right answer for this. I did see the video, and I couldn't believe that he he hit it at all, and two, that he pulled it because it was like kind of up and away,
Yeah.
and he pulled it to right center. I mean, he's got some crazy juice. Um, he hits the ball hard. Like I know from, I mean, we played against him a bunch this year, and every time he's up, like there's a lot of like there's a few guys out there that I'm like, man, this guy could go deep on any pitch in any location, and he's one of them. That's like, you can throw him a pitch 2 feet outside, he's going to pull it down the line, or you're going to bust him inside, he's going to go the other way and go deep. Like there's a few guys out there like that. And I mean, I watched that swing and I was like, I don't know if I have any advice on that, because there's no way I'm ever going to be able to do that. Sometimes you just got to accept where you're at. Like, I'm going to hit good pitches that are pretty much in the zone. Maybe you get a little bit, go the other way with the ball that's a little bit off, or stay through the middle and something that's down. But that's outrageous. Like that was yeah, you just got to tip your cap on that. I don't even know, I don't know what the pitchers are going to talk to his pitching coach about when you get back into the dugout after that. I don't.
I feel like the high heater is like so in vogue right now. It's like I don't
Yeah,
understand how guys are supposed to be able to get on top of these pitches just
yeah.
consistently.
There's a lot more of it. Honestly, when I was in the minor leagues, it was even bigger. Like guys were just trying to throw the vertical high heaters at the top of the zone, and a lot of guys had to adjust their swings and get a little bit flatter and get a little bit more on plane. Um, but now I mean, you see a lot of different stuff now. You got a lot of guys throwing sinker slider, but then you still have the the guys with the four seamers at the top, and then curveballs down or changeups away. So kind of just depends on who you're facing. But when you see a swing like that, and you see a result like that off that pitch and swing, it's like, dude, I mean, there's a reason why he was an all-star this year.
You guys have such a hard job at the plate right now. It's insane. Like
Yeah.
the quantity or quality of pitcher right now. It's so
Yeah,
good.
you gotta hit mistakes. You gotta be ready for mistakes, and you gotta be able to take pitches that you don't think are there, and work counts. And it's just probably, I mean, the biggest part is just getting into a rhythm with it, and being confident. Like you're gonna strike out, you're gonna get out, you're gonna fail. It's part of the game. You're gonna hit balls hard that are gonna be out. So I think it's just you got to take it. You got to take it with a grain of salt, and you got to make sure you're doing, like I said, the right things to prepare yourself, and you can go from there.
I love it, dude. This has been incredible. I think
Yeah,
I'm a Cardinals fan now.
I like it.
This has been so much fun.
Yeah.
Hey, hopefully we'll see you on the back out on the field soon.
Yep. Yep.
And best of luck down the way with the
No
Cards
doubt. No
there.
doubt. Thank you,
Appreciate you,
Justin. I
man.
appreciate it.